Matthew Vaughn is back with another big-budget spy flick, Argylle, which is destined for Apple TV Plus before a lengthy stopover in theaters, with it being released by Universal Pictures this weekend. So in it, the shy author of a series of best-selling spy novels discovers that her books somehow are all true. She's pursued by a top-secret division of evil spies, and she must now rely on an unlikely protector to get to the bottom of the whole affair. Now, as a big fan of spy cinema, particularly the vintage kind from the early days of James Bond, I've always liked what Matthew Vaughn was doing with his yarns. While some may say that he should direct an actual 007 film, it's clear to me that as a big fan of this genre, Vaughn's heart really belongs to a bygone era in espionage movies. If the Kingsman movies were his gonzo R-rated riff on Roger Moore James Bond movies that he grew up watching, Argylle is his tribute to the campy James Bond knockoffs that hit theaters in the late 60s. Imagine the 1967 all-star version of Casino Royale mixed in with a heavy dose of the Our Man Flint series, with a hero played by Sam Rockwell who seems to be channeling Dean Martin's take on Matt Helm in those spy films, and you've got a wacky yarn that's unwieldy but also quite entertaining. Vaughn has picked two pretty perfect actors to lead his spy yarn, and both are wonderfully cast against type. This, of course, is a staple of Vaughn's work, with him making Colin Firth and Ralph Fiennes unlikely badasses in his Kingsman movies. Here, he uses Sam Rockwell as the super spy protector, while Bryce Dallas Howard plays the put-upon novelist, who, of course, turns out to be a badass, and both are used to great effect. Both of them are often underrated as actors, but are tremendously appealing in a movie like this, as they ground the film with a certain amount of heart you don't really get in a more conventionally cast espionage yarn. It may surprise some to realize that the most hyped stars, such as Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, and John Cena, actually play comparatively minor roles, but Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell really are top-notch. Rockwell plays a shaggy secret agent who is the opposite of the suave agent Argylle, played by Henry Cavill in fantasy sequence, that Ellie Conway, the character that Bryce Dallas Howard plays, imagines in her novels. Rockwell has never really gotten the chance to play an action star, and there's a certain thrill that comes with watching him demolish a train full of baddies while Sylvester's Do You Wanna Funk plays on the soundtrack. Howard, for her part, is quite charming as the shy, overwhelmed cat lady author, who of course gets to participate more and more in the action scenes as the film goes on. Their chemistry gives the movie a nice romancing the stone vibe that differentiates it from the other clones of that movie, as it takes the action mostly seriously, just like that film did, with Vaughn shooting the carnage in his usual creative way. He stages each action sequence like it's a musical number, including liberal needle drops on the soundtrack, which give the film a heightened, fun vibe that complements the spy shenanigans. Meant to launch at least one franchise on Apple TV Plus, and stay tuned during the credits for an inkling of where the series might go, the budget for this is a gargantuan $200 million. Now, I imagine much of the money went into assembling the A-list cast, but the film also jets around from country to country, with it shot all over Europe. However, the bloated 140-minute running time is a little much and slows the pace somewhat, with too much exposition in the middle third and some cringe-worthy CGI, most notably the cat, Alfie, that Howard and Rockwell carry around for most of the movie. This cat never looks real. Yet the energy of the two leads saves the day repeatedly, with Rockwell a natural wisecracking action star with just the right amount of swagger and vulnerability. He's kind of like the modern Bruce Willis in some ways, and I kind of wish he'd do more action films. It's also nice to see a movie that's centered around a convincing romance, with him and Howard having really terrific chemistry. Plus there's Bryan Cranston as a bad guy, Samuel L. Jackson, and even Catherine O'Hara turning up in a fun role. If you go with the heightened vibe Matthew Vaughn is going for, you're going to have fun with Argylle. The question remains, though, is it worth seeing on the big screen? That's always the caveat of streaming films, with this going to be widely available on Apple TV Plus in a few months, where it will likely be a bigger hit than it will be theatrically. That said, it's not a bad date movie, with a pleasantly romantic vibe throughout, with the recently restored Beatles track now and then used as a bittersweet motif, and all that makes Argylle awfully likable. While it definitely goes on a bit too long, and that CGI cat was really a bad idea, I had a good time with it, and I think that most of our readers will too. It's silly, but intentionally so. If you like your spy flicks infused with a heavy dose of camp, and are maybe tired of espionage tales being a little too ultra-serious, this might be just the ticket. And as a bonus, if you ever wanted to get a feel for what a Bond movie would be like with an everyman like Sam Rockwell in the lead, Argylle is probably the closest you're ever going to get unless Eon casts the next 007 way, way, way outside the box. I give this a not bad at all 7 on 10.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.